first story is titled, Am I the a-hole for refusing to take my dad and stepmom in? I, male 32, had a bad relationship with my family. My dad showed an unbelievable amount of favoritism and treated my half-brother differently. I was always told to do things for him, sacrifice my time, / future plans, / my health, just so he could be happy. In other words, my half-brother has and will always be the golden child. I donated my kidney to my half-brother when my dad and stepmom were freaking out and worrying sick about him for being on dialysis for a short period of time. I was expected to step in and help because family, and I had to do it. My dad decided I was no good for my brother's health and kicked me out of the house so they could focus on my half-brother. I lived with a friend of mine for a while. I worked several jobs, but I didn't get the chance to attend college because I was busy helping my brother. My half-brother moved out of the house and got his own place while he went to college. I'd hear about my family via friends / neighbors who were still in touch with me. I rent alone now, and I'm currently dealing with a number of medical conditions, including anemia. This has been affecting my work, and I'm doing all I can to keep things balanced. Anyways, my dad reached out to me last week wanting to meet with me for a talk. I agreed, and I have no idea why. I just wanted to hear what he had to say since he sent people to get me to set up a meeting so we could talk. He told me that he can no longer make his mortgage payments due to his inability to work and spending money on medication for his condition as well as some debts. He said that his son's fiancée refused to take him and my stepmom in and asked if I was willing to let them stay with me till they figure something out. I was taken aback and I didn't know how to respond. All of a sudden, I remembered why I'm in this situation, struggling both physically and emotionally, working more than I can handle, paying for everything on my own, dealing with stress and anger because of how I was treated by my own family. I told him I couldn't take them. I refused to discuss this any further when he started talking about what my mom would have wanted and how I should help like I'm expected to, just because their golden child wasn't being supportive. So, it's now my problem and I needed to fix it? I haven't spoken to him since. Now he's at it again and wanting me to help out since I already have my own place. Even said that I was trying to get back at him because he had me help my brother when he was sick in the past and claimed that any other brother would have done the same. The thing that really got me was when my dad cried. He rarely ever cried before, and he's the type that acts tough and refuses to ask for help. But he kept talking about the hurt my half-brother caused him, and he clearly didn't expect this treatment from him after everything that he's done for him. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. He kicked you out. He is no longer able to ask you to be a bailout card. If anything, your half-brother should be the one stuck with his father's complaining. They leached enough from you. Yep, and to add insult to injury, they kicked him out after he donated his kidney. Slap away a helping hand. Don't be surprised when helping hand vanishes for good. Not the a-hole. You already gave a kidney up for a family that treats you poorly. Please don't give them any more. Not to mention, he tried to emotionally manipulate him, using his mother crying, saying, "Your brother won't do it, so you have to. And you have always done things for me without me giving back to you. So why would I expect you to stop?" Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. You gave him a kidney, and they kicked you out? Don't waste another word on these a-holes. Yep, the father bet on the wrong son. He can fend for himself. The next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for banning my brother and his wife from coming onto my property? 3 months ago, my wife and I bought my parents' property. There are 2 houses on the property, one that my parents lived in, and the other is a smaller house that my parents used to rent out. When we bought the property, we moved into my parents' house and my parents moved into the smaller one. The houses are far back off the road. When you come down the driveway, you come to our house first, and then my parents' house is further back. The problem that we are having is that people, including my siblings, like to speed down the driveway. It's a curvy driveway with pine trees lining it, so the visibility is restricted. Our worry is that someone would hit our kids when they are riding their bikes, or would crash into us or someone else as they drive down the driveway. We put up a sign that says "Children at Play, speed limit 5 miles per hour, which has been very effective, except for when it comes to 2 of my brothers and 1 of my sister-in-laws. So I put in a speed bump. That did the trick, although my brothers and sister-in-law threw a fit. Last month, I was outside and saw my brother and sister-in-law leaving my parents' house. They apparently didn't see me. My kids had some toys in our yard, and my sister-in-law, who was driving, drove into our yard and ran over the toys, breaking them. They then proceeded to laugh their heads off. They got back onto the driveway, and that's when they noticed me. I texted my brother, and he admitted that they did it because they are ticked about the speed bump. I ended up banning them from my property. My mom asked me the other day if I would rethink our decision because she misses the grandkids coming over. So I called my brother and told him that he could come onto the property again, but he had to park his car at the road and walk up. He angrily refused. My mom wants me to let him drive up, but I honestly don't trust him or sister-in-law. But at the same time, I feel bad because it's mom and dad who are also being punished. So, am I being the a-hole here? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Did they pay for all the toys they destroyed? Stick to your guns on this one. I did tell my brother that they needed to pay for the toys, and he responded with, "Take me to court then." Not the a-hole. This is a potentially dangerous situation that you've made your brother and sister-in-law aware of. They've chosen to ignore. Several steps were taken before banning them from the property. Also, what kind of miserable and petty person drives over kids' toys purposefully? For your safety, I'd suggest investing in some cameras close to the road if you ever decide to let them visit, in case they do something similar. Not the a-hole. They're behaving dangerously, and ultimately, you need to protect your property and your family. Is there a reason your parents can't go and see them elsewhere? My parents have gone over to their place a couple of times to babysit, but my sister-in-law apparently doesn't like having guests over, except for her family and friends, so my parents have not been able to see the grandkids as much. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to accommodate my husband's sister and her family by making a separate meals for them? My husband's sister's youngest child was diagnosed with cancer shortly after birth. She and her husband have spent 2 years fighting for him and his health. Then COVID hit, and what was already a very bad financial and emotional situation became worse. In September, they were forced to leave their home due to a mold issue that may or may not have been there a while, but went unnoticed because of how difficult the last couple of years have been on them. Then her husband's office was closed down, and all employees were forced to move to the one in our town, 3 hours from where they lived before, or find another job, which they did not feel safe doing in the current climate with their family circumstances. My husband and I discussed it, and agreed to let them move in until after Christmas, when hopefully the mold issue could be fixed, and they could start the process to sell up and find another house. So, I will start by saying they pay for some groceries and help toward bills, but not a lot because of their financial situation. I started having an issue 2 weeks after they moved in. It was agreed upon by all 4 of us that I would make dinner, and we would each do our own things for lunch. But she and their older kids started complaining about dinner, wanting something else, and expecting me to make it for them. It got to the point where the other night my husband's sister asked me to make a lasagna for them in front of all the kids. Both our husbands were at work, and her kids started to demand it, where I lost it and told her if she didn't want to eat what I prepared, then the least she could do is make it herself because it's not easy cooking enough for 9 people, and then having 3 people reject it outright, and often rudely, and expecting me to cook something very specific for them. It's even worse because the kids have made a fuss about dinner a lot since they got here, and she says nothing to them. And she isn't too far behind in that, but at least she normally expresses it in a less demanding nature, and has never pressed it in front of the kids before. I have struggled with some guilt because they have a lot going on, and I maybe should have just sucked it up. I can't always coordinate in advance about what they want for dinner, but also we don't always have what's needed to make what they want anyway, and I'm already getting more groceries and doing more than I was before. I'm trying to be understanding, but I worry I was an a-hole. Things have been tense since. The complaints have not stopped though. Am I the a-hole? An update, kind of. So, my husband and his sister's husband are mad at my sister-in-law. She does not want to participate in cooking. She also doesn't think it's fair to expect them to know what they'll want days or weeks in advance. Her husband has promised his kids will behave better in the future, but sister-in-law doesn't think they were ever rude. She said I was rude for not catering more to them, as guests in our home and people going through a rough time. So I don't know what we're going to do, but at least I know where I stand in this. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. They can cook for themselves. We used to have a rule in my house growing up, too many kids, that if we didn't like dinner, we could make ourselves a peanut butter and jelly or have nothing. Those should be the options. Not the a-hole. They're being rude. You need a new system. Either everyone does their own family dinner, sister-in-law does dinner for everyone, you switch off, or you meal plan together. Easy peasy. But your husband needs to talk to his sister about his family's manners while they're in the house. Info. Can't your sister-in-law cook the dinner for you all herself if her children want something different all the time? Your sister-in-law cooking for you all would perhaps solve the problem. Is this because she's taking care of the child who is diagnosed with cancer? Who decides what will be cooked for dinner? I would help if she cooked for them. Normally me. I will ask them what groceries they want me to buy and get their list. But I'm usually flying solo when dinner prep starts, so it's on me. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister and parents that she can never live with me? To start with, I, 26 female, have never had a good relationship with my sister, 32 female. She didn't like having a younger sibling and had no interest in me. She moved out when she was 18 and ceased any contact with me, even going as far as rubbing it in my face how she never wanted to know me, by showing up for Christmas at grandparents' houses and bringing gifts for our cousins but not me, and by showing up for their birthdays but not mine. The last time I was anyway hopeful for us to have a relationship was at our youngest cousin's first birthday party, when I was 15. She brought along her friends and was mocking me for trying to talk to her when I saw her earlier at the party. So, I hardened toward her that day, and decided if she didn't want to be my sister, then I would just need to accept that and move on from her. She got married when I was 17 and told our parents I was not welcome. Our parents tried to change her mind, but she was not having it. I thought that was when they realized there was no way we're going to be buddies someday, or even real family. And now they expect me to help her out. She got divorced from her husband 4 years ago. He got her into a lot of debt and then bailed. They have a 7-year-old together. She lost her job recently, and she got a new job in my city, and then the rental she had planned to move into fell through, and she ended up asking me to stay. I told her no. She went to our parents and the three put pressure on me. When I stood by my stance, they paid for her to stay in a hotel for a while. She has not been able to secure a place and apparently lost the job due to a lack of actual address. They're all saying I turned my back on her, and we should help family. I got really frustrated with all of them, but especially my parents. She has never wanted a single thing to do to me. She has purposely gone out of her way to hurt my feelings and make it clear I am nothing to her. But I'm supposed to help her out because she's a struggling single mom? After everything? With no apology or actual sign that she doesn't feel the same about me. Where my guilt is coming in to ask this is she has a daughter and I feel bad for her. But her daughter is also a stranger to me. I have never been part of her life and I don't even know if she knows who I am. But still, she's a kid, and as a mom, now I am wondering if I'm being a total jerk here like they seem to believe. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. An awful situation for the daughter, but this is karma coming for your sister for the way she treated you. You have absolutely no obligation to take her in. She has never treated you as family, so why should you treat her as such? Your parents can take her in if she's that desperate for help. Honestly, if she has nothing like claimed, moving to be closer to them would be her best option because she would have their help. Not the a-hole. She made it clear that you are not welcome in her life. You are now returning the favor. She didn't even want you at her wedding and probably refused to invite you to any birthdays/parties/holidays at her house as well. Not the a-hole. She didn't want a relationship, so now she has no relationship. Figure out what you are going to say, with a maximum of 3 sentences, then keep repeating that. In no way should you continue the conversation. Don't let them make you jade. Don't justify, argue, defend, or explain. Yeah, she never invited me to anything and she rejected my parents' invitation to my high school graduation. We had no contact at all in years, and now she reaches out because she needs something. It's not like she even made an attempt to apologize or anything first, just straight to help. She has spent your entire life excluding you from hers. You don't get to pull the "you're meant to help family" card after doing that. You weren't even welcome in her wedding, so I'd say you're really not her family. You might be biologically related, but you are not family. If you're ever going to rebuild your relationship, it needs to start with her sincere apology. That has not happened. She isn't sorry about how she has treated you. I get that their situation sucks, and you're worried about the child, but your sister has brought this on herself. Not the a-hole. If your parents keep guilt-tripping you, tell them to take her in then. Since she lost her job, there's really no reason for her to stay in your city. And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe.